What's up everyone? It is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. And so today is very exciting because we are going to be joined by my friend David, who was in a video last year where he was a part of the transfer student advice video. So 1 year later, we are going to be talking with David about his transfer experiences. Does he regret his decision? How has being a transfer student in the time of the pandemic, where he only really had 1 semester in person and his final 3 semesters at Berkeley are going to all be online. So what's that experience been like for him? And so also, if you are a current student who is applying to colleges this year, you should definitely check out Study Hall College Consulting. It's a team of myself and other UC Berkeley students who review college application essays as well as consult one-on-one with you all if you had any questions, wanted advice, or tips and tricks for your essays or your path throughout school to go to college. So definitely check that out. We have a website and we look forward to reading your essays or consulting with you one-on-one. So without further ado, let's get started with this video. Okay, what is up everyone? Hopefully we are recording on Zoom and it records correctly, but super exciting day. I am joined by my friend David. If you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm David. I'm a 4th-year student at UC Berkeley studying economics and minoring in data science. I'm from San Jose and I transferred from UCSB my 3rd year.
Yeah, so David is in the class of 2021, and if you can do the math there, he transferred in 2019 fall, had 1 semester in person, and then now his last 3 semesters of transferring at UC Berkeley will be online. So David, how has your first year been at Berkeley, since we did do a video together 1 year ago answering some of these similar questions? So how has your first year been?
My first year was really good. I had a really good junior year at Berkeley. I think fall, I was really lucky to find a community pretty quickly. I joined a club that, yeah, like I said, kind of became my community. So in terms of adjusting and making friends, I had a really good time. Yeah, and obviously with the pandemic, my spring got cut kind of quickly. But since then, I've been pretty lucky to been able to live with housemates and kind of stay in a social bubble where we've been able to kind of try to make the most of everything.
So you chose to go back to Berkeley for the fall semester, even though it's online. Why did you choose that?
I kind of realized if I'm only going to have 1 in-person semester at Berkeley, I might as well try to stay as close to campus as possible, just to I guess stay in the community and try to, in my head, make it seem as normal as possible. Obviously it's different with when you walk around Berkeley. Recently I guess it's been getting a little more full, but when you walk around it's different. There's not as many people. I think just being here at the very least is better than just being at home all the time. It makes it feel like I'm getting at least a little bit of the experience.
So my next question would be, what are your thoughts on online classes and transferring to Berkeley in the middle of the pandemic?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of online classes, I'm not gonna lie. I think some classes kind of transition a little poorly between in-person and online. Obviously the professors weren't necessarily all ready for such a drastic change. Berkeley this semester isn't, at least at the time of filming, isn't offering pass no pass options for major classes, which I know is pretty controversial. A lot of other schools are giving students that option. So yeah, it's been pretty stressful. I do feel like professors are putting in or are giving students more work because they feel like they need to do that because it's online, even though it's I don't know, I think it's leading to a lot of students burning out very quickly. At least from my personal experience, I'm an econ major and I feel like the econ professors are giving more problem sets and giving more work in general. So I feel like I'm kind of just sitting at a computer 24/7, just doing work, which is unfortunate. I found academically online to actually be more difficult. I think with in-person, you can, go to office hours and it's a bit face-to-face interaction is just always better than having something over Zoom. Yeah, and I think it's especially sucks. Personally, I don't think I'm going to be going to grad school personally, but I know for a lot of students who want to go to grad school, building up personal personal connections with professors and TAs and stuff like that is really important. And it's just really difficult when you have to do that over Zoom, or maybe you created that connection in person and then all of a sudden everything switches to Zoom is just very different. So yeah, I can definitely see that being an issue for a lot of transfer students.
The next question is if you could tell yourself some advice for your 1 year ago transfer self, what would it be?
I think like my fall semester actually and my spring, like I tried to get out of my comfort zone as much as possible. So like I don't have too many regrets in that regard, but like there's always, like I should have gone to that concert. Like I should have gone to that football game. I didn't go to the big game, and it was the first
Ugh.
game that, that Berkeley had, actually won in like what was it, 10 years or something
Yeah, like
like
the
super crazy. Yeah.
record-breaking losing streak.
Yeah, I only went to one football game my entire time at Berkeley, and like, stuff like that. I kind of regret, just not sending it and being like, screw it, I'll go. In general, just like trying to make the most of your time. If your friend asks you to go to a football game and you have a little bit of homework, what are you going to remember in 10 years time, that football game or, that homework. So yeah.
Oh, you're making me so sad. Now I'm like, oh, I didn't do a lot of things either because of like homework and whatnot.
Yeah.
So last year in our video, you answered a few questions similar to this. So the next 4 questions are questions that David had answered last year. And so we're going to see if his answers changed from last year to this year. So my first question in this segment is, what is the hardest part about transferring?
I think for me, it's been like the shift in workload. I don't know if it's skewed because of the shift to online, but for me personally, like I think Berkeley, especially like I went from a quarter system to a semester system. And I think in general, quarter system schools kind of lean more heavily on like doing homework and problem sets. And that's like where the majority of the burden has come, at least for me personally. So I think in terms of like struggles for me personally as like a transfer student, it's definitely been adjusting to workload.
Okay, so you're saying that there's more workload on the quarter system versus the semester system?
Or I think it's like maybe different types of work. I think the quarter system, the kind of difficulty of it is just that because it's so condensed into 10 weeks, like for me, like I didn't have as much homework, rather like a lot of the kind of pain was having so many midterms in such a short period of time. Like there would still be classes with 2 midterms, and that's in 10 weeks, and you're taking 4 classes, and it's like, basically you have a scenario where you're basically taking midterms from week 3 to week all the way up to week 9, and then you have finals. So that was a huge struggle, but in turn, like I felt like there wasn't as much like homework. That wasn't like the main point of struggle, whereas here you have like, the 15 weeks, it's a lot more spread out, so they want to kind of fill your time with harder problem sets and more work in general. So yeah, that's for me, it's been the main difference and the kind of biggest struggle.
Hearing about all the stressed students right now doing exams and everything, I'm like, okay, I'm glad I'm out of that. No more tests or anything.
Yeah,
Feels good.
kind of dipped college at a good time, I think.
Yeah, and so speaking of, I know you alluded to it a little bit earlier, but have you found a community on campus?
Yeah, like I said, I've been really, really fortunate to have found that community very early. I'm in a org called the Berkeley Forum, and we basically like host talks, debates, and panels in a wide variety of fields. I don't want to like plug it or anything. That's not what the video is for. But yeah, I've been really lucky to have found a community in that org and made friends that I like talk to very regularly, like even over Zoom. I joined because there is a student in the org that I knew previously from high school, and it was someone I really respected. So I figured like, damn, like if they're in this org, like surely like it's filled with other like really cool people.
Okay, yeah, and I saw the group. You just had Dr. Fauci give a Zoom talk. That's super
Yeah,
cool. How did that happen?
That was surreal. So one of our members actually just reached out to Dr. Fauci. It was kind of a Hail Mary. Like we really didn't expect, like, cause he's such a huge name, but like to our surprise, like we got a response,
Wow.
and he wanted to talk. So we're like, oh my God.
Yeah, dang, that's so cool. Now I'm like, I want to be a student. So
Yeah.
the pros and cons, no exams, but like you don't have access
Yeah.
to the resources. My next question from last year is, do you feel like there's a stigma surrounding transfer students?
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, I might have said there was, but I like now that like I've had like a year here and like with everything happening, like I definitely would say no. But yeah, me personally, like I haven't really experienced like, any like negative like feedback, I guess, because I am a transfer student. If anything, I've gotten like more support and more like, I guess, like compassion towards me because like I've only had that one like in-person semester. Like I'm on Reddit a lot, and like I see like a lot of people being like, I'm so sorry, like you don't deserve this. It's not the real Berkeley experience to only have had like, a quarter of your time here being like in person.
That's interesting that your answer has changed from last year to this year. With that, do you have any advice for students who want to transfer?
Yeah, I guess it obviously depends on like where you're transferring from. I think for like community college transfers, I might not be the best like resource for those kind of questions just because I did transfer from another UC. Like a general word for advice for people who want to transfer to Berkeley in particular, I think Berkeley is like very holistic when it comes to like evaluating applicants. A lot of people have a misconception that Berkeley just like looks for, people with that perfect GPA and people who have like straight A's. And I would definitely say that's false. Like that wasn't me. I think like what Berkeley really looks for is like someone holistic, someone well-rounded, and someone who has like an interesting life story. So like I wouldn't, say you have no chance if like you don't have that perfect GPA because I definitely didn't. Just like making sure that that application shows that you're a well-rounded person and you have a well-rounded interest in general, I think is really important.
Okay, yeah, that's some really good advice from David. So, my final question for you, 1 year later, do you regret transferring?
No, yeah, that's a pretty easy answer. I don't. Even if like the pandemic did happen, I think I've had a lot of like incredible experiences at Berkeley that I wouldn't have had if I didn't transfer. I definitely do miss UCSB a lot, and it offered me a ton. And like I made lifelong friends there, and it holds like a special place in my heart. I've been really lucky, like I said, like the Fauci event, like being a part of organizing something like that. I wouldn't have been a part of that if I didn't transfer. I've met like a lot of like lifelong friends here as well. So yeah, I definitely don't regret it at all.
Aw, very, very wise words from David. Now I'm like nostalgic. It feels so sad.
Yeah, no, I look back a lot on like my in-person times here, and I'm like, man, I miss that. But yeah, it is what it is.
Thank you so much, David, for doing this Zoom interview with me. You all watching, if you are transferring, you should definitely check out the video that we did last year if you wanted to see other transfer students' perspectives, answering very similar questions. If you enjoyed watching this video, definitely make sure you like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. I post every single Sunday and Wednesday, and so thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you all next time.